It's from all over Australian, West Australian business. We've got John Poynton, we've got all sorts of people on the board. And again, it's just a great example of why West Australia is so well placed for these projects, because unlike other states, we're not waiting around and saying, oh, federal government, you know, you've got to give us some money before we do anything. This is just a great leap of faith by the French Australian Chamber of Commerce, by the City of Rockingham, who is so engaged in this, and saying, right, you know, let's build it and they'll come. And guess what? They are coming. And I think it is a very exciting opportunity. So they will be there, established, up and running, and able to take opportunities as the sector grows. It's a uniquely French creation that they're replicating here in Western Australia. It's a combination of university, tech training, but embedded in with the companies and with the support that companies actually need. And you've got a lot of, you know, innovation and research thrown in there. So it is something that we have not seen here in Australia, and I think it's going to be quite exciting. Well, I've got to commend all of those, including yourself, on this outstanding report. It is a brilliant report, and it has been due for a very long time to be done. So for very good historical reasons, the majority of the Defence Force has been based on the East Coast. Again, for good historical reasons, but those reasons don't stack up so much anymore. And Western Australia does need to have more of a defence and security focus. Now, that's not going to happen overnight, but I think the report is a great start to have the conversations, both with the state government, the federal government, industry, you know, local communities, and say, this is what's happening strategically in the Indian Ocean, why the Indian Ocean matters today, not just for Western Australia, but also for all of Australia. So I will certainly be championing the report with the federal government next year, and I hope it will result in a lot of very rich discussions about the future of defence and strategic planning for our West Coast. But yes, I think the suggestion of an Indian Ocean Pacific patrol boat, an Indian Ocean patrol boat program was an outstanding idea. And clearly we need it just as much in the Indian Ocean as we do in the Pacific, with our neighbours in the Pacific. But I think the overall approach to having a look at West Australia from a strategic perspective, historically this is what we've had, this is sort of what we've built up, not necessarily through deliberative planning, but you know, half the Navy based here, SASR, increasing Air Force assets is good, but we need more. But the question is, with new technologies, what will that actually look like, and what do we need? I think with Army, I mean, we're not going to have. I'm certain that no one, in Canberra will ever agree to having, a brigade located in the northwest, for example. And I don't think these days it's necessary. So the real question is, what assets do we need over here in terms of short notice contingents? What communities can support? And if we did need something, what strategic airlift do we have, for example? So we don't have any C-17s based here. So if we've got a short notice or some sort of incident in the northwest, it takes time to get the to get the C-17 here loaded and then up to the north. So those are the sorts of things I think that we can increase here, having more strategic assets based out of Western Australia, and certainly maybe more boots on the ground, but also greater use of technology. I remember having this conversation with you and Aidan this time last year at your function, and we were incredibly optimistic. Maybe there were some people who were still a little sceptical about the possibilities, but I think this year has shown that when we work together, we've got a great offering and we are unrelentingly positive. I think anything can happen. And I think the great thing what's happened over the last 12 months is, yes, there's been people like myself, politicians who've championed things and brought things to light. But the really wonderful thing is that industry has come together and they are looking at all the opportunities. So people are not hanging around waiting for government, for Defence West or anybody else to deliver for them. I think government needs to help facilitate and to enable. But so in answer to your question, what will next year look like? I don't know, but I'm very excited to watch the progress. So if we can make just as much progress in the next 12 months as we have this year, then the sky's the limit. I think what the federal government needs from West Australia now, quite frankly, is a plan. So the federal government has, for months now been saying, show us your plan. How do you want this to grow and to develop? What are you going to do? What do you want us to do? And how do we enable more of this to occur? And I think that's really the most important thing for the state government, is to get the plan together so that we can, on a bipartisan basis, state and federal government representatives working together, lobbying the federal government and saying that this is the plan for Western Australia and this is what everyone's role is. But we're not there yet, unfortunately. So I think over the Christmas break, if the state government can sharpen their pencils and keep working on it, we can hit the ground running in February next year with a plan we can all come together behind and make it happen.